Well, good Monday morning to you, and welcome to our Monday morning live edition of Healthy Living South Mississippi. Live healthy, be healthy with Doctors Jim and Janine Fox from Doctors Nutrition, Cowan Road, Gulfport, and just south of Pass Road. Everyone have a good 4th of July weekend.
Oh, very good. Very good.
Survived it.
I know a lot of people survived it. It was we had some pretty rough weather out there at times. Yeah. So I was out on the water a little bit a couple of the days, and
it was good though.
And everybody seemed to behave. Our phone lines are 896-0713, 800-349-0713. If you have a question for the doctors regarding today's topic, or any question right off the bat you'd like to be kind of holding on to all weekend, be sure and give us a call. Today's topics are something that a lot of people, including children, deal with, and that's chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia.
Yeah, it's more common than you think, really, especially the chronic fatigue type. And you know, there's all sorts of triggers for it. People, as a matter of fact, they originally called it chronic fatigue immunodeficiency syndrome because it involves the immune system as well. And you know, things like stress, infections, past infections, viral infections. We talked about chronic infections
that last week.
Exactly.
And it leads to, you know, that chronic fatigue, and the body just can't recover, and then it gets to, you know, leads to a depletion of so much energy in the body that it winds up into the fibromyalgia, which is the mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of every cell in your body, gets to where it can't function, and you start having just pain and everything all over the body, and that's when they throw in the term the fibromyalgia. But it's more common than you think, and typically, you know, goes back to some sort of event that started it. Could be an infection, could be trauma, whatever, and it's not a fun place to be.
Well, I mean, some of the symptoms include, you know, just overall weakness, muscle pain, impaired memory.
Yes.
And mental concentration, insomnia.
Insomnia is a big one because a lot of times they find that people, as fatigued as they are, they still can't sleep.
Right.
And so not sleeping is actually one of the problems with it, because if you don't sleep, you don't repair. So getting people to sleep better is one of the big things that you try to do with fibromyalgia and chronic
When you do
fatigue.
sleep, your body rests.
Yes.
It recovers. That's what,
exactly.
You know, when you're up and moving around during the day, even if you're not moving very much, your body doesn't heal. There's no healing really that takes place during the day. We're too active. The body's got too many other things to worry about. And at night, when we lie down to go to sleep and we go into that deep, restful sleep, that's when the body heals. Well, if you don't get there, like you said, you know, you don't recover. You're right.
And then you have a lot of people that will try to help themselves sleep.
Yeah.
And what they'll do is they'll just start taking medications, which...
A lot of medications don't let you get into deep sleep.
Right,
I mean, you can't say all, but a lot of the medications, now the natural products do allow you to get in deep sleep. So if you can fix, and one thing we wanted to let people know about the fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome is most of the time they're told there's nothing you can do about it, and that is absolutely not true. We see people every day with it. Now, response from people vary from person to person. Some people get completely better, some people don't. They just get some better. So it just depends on the person. But there are things you can do about it, and it's not just one thing. That's one of the things we wanted to stress. It is not just in every person, it's not one thing can make them better.
No, it's usually
just not the
3 or 4
way it
things. Like
works.
I say, you got to start with the sleep, and you know, have to deal with that, and you have to deal with that energy cycle thing, which could be anything from, and we see this a lot in folks, you know, iron deficiencies, you know, mineral deficiencies, where they just don't have these enough.
And I'm
of
sure
the,
diet plays a
definitely.
big role in recovery. That's for sure. You know, and
that's always the first thing we stress is changing your diet and your lifestyle. You actually have to get on a good routine. You have to change your diet. You want to eat more organic food. You want to eat, you know, less processed food. You don't want the chemicals, because there's so many things. And sugar lowers the immune system. And they know that there's an immune component to this. So you have to get that immune system stronger. And that's what we talk about almost every time we talk about anything, is that immune system is so important. And so many people, as they get run down, it affects the immune system.
All right, we have Anna on the phone this morning. Good morning, Anna.
Yeah, I have fibromyalgia, and I'm pregnant. And I was just kind of wondering, they have to do a C-section when I get ready to have the baby. What could you give me advice as far as after the recovery process after my C-section?
How far along are you?
Go a little easier.
How far along are you now?
I'm 7 months.
Okay, so you're a couple months from it. You actually probably need to start now on recovery. I mean, there's actually things you can do while pregnant And the first thing is like check your vitamin D levels and make sure they're optimal. You want to do things like the things for the immune system that we know are safe during pregnancy, like dimethylglycine and arabinogalactin. And there's a lot of things you can't take during pregnancy, but we have things that you can take during pregnancy. So you start with in eating right. Change the diet now.
Oh, I think now's the time to do it.
You don't have to wait until you have the baby.
Yeah.
You're getting ready. If you're getting ready to have a C-section, you're getting ready to go through a major trauma. When they literally cut you open, take that baby out, that's a major trauma. And your body has to recover from that. And if you're going into it already, so to speak, behind the 8 ball, you're going to have a hard time coming out of it. So you want to start now.
And we even talked about iron deficiency playing a role. And iron deficiency is really common during pregnancy. So that's one thing you absolutely want optimal, and you can do that now also.
Exactly.
The best thing to do is to get your lab work that you've had done and bring it in and let us look at it and get started now. Don't wait until you are, real down after you have the baby.
Exactly.
My doctor has me because I do have fibromyalgia, and he knows about my conditions and all that. He had me taking vitamin D pills, extra vitamin on top of my prenatal vitamins, plus iron pills on top of that. And
you want to keep those. Yeah, you want to keep those optimal. And like I said, there's some things for the immune system that you can do too, just to keep from going down. But you definitely want to keep that iron up, because with C-sections you do lose a little bit of blood, and that's going to make you a little bit more anemic.
And if you've got that fibromyalgia, you want to work on it. We just talked about the mitochondria, and that's the root cause of kind of what's going on. Those mitochondria aren't functioning quite right, and there's things that we can do even during pregnancy for that mitochondrial function, and it's totally safe. And it'd be very recommended for someone like yourself.
Yeah, I noticed it was a lot different. It's been a lot different pregnancy with having the fibromyalgia and not being able to take my medication that I'm supposed to be on for that, and it's been harder to go through it without that medication.
Right.
Well, actually, now is a good time to start on the natural products, because it doesn't have a lot of the side effects of some of the medications. And we see people come in on multiple medications that do not get better with fibromyalgia. And so now might be a good time for you to start on some of the nutritional things, because you can take it during pregnancy. And maybe it'll prevent you from getting on so many medications afterwards.
All right. Thank you, Anna, for your call. Okay, we're going to take a break, and we got Linwood on the phone. We're going to get to his phone call here in just a moment. It's our Monday morning live edition of Healthy Living South Mississippi. Live healthy, be healthy. We'll be right back. And welcome back to our Monday morning live edition of Healthy Living South Mississippi. Live healthy, be healthy with Dr. Jim and Janine Fox of Doctors Nutrition in Gulfport. And we lost Linwood on the phone, so Linwood, if you wouldn't mind, give us a call back, 896-0713, 800-349-0713 are both of our phone numbers. If you would like to call in and ask a question, if you don't want to be on the air, we can be sure and take the question and pass it along to them. But we're talking about chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia. And so many people, I mean, it's like every other person that you talk to either has one of those issues that they're having to deal with.
Yeah. Well, let's face it, we've talked about how stressful modern life is.
Oh, it is.
And stress is one of the big inducers.
I feel like sometimes it's a wonder I can walk.
Yeah, I mean, seriously. And, and stress being a big inducer of things like this. And, and it can lead into, that fibromyalgia. And a lot of people they've even looked at the personality type that tends to get this, and it's the overachiever. It's the person that is doing a lot, And then they hit that wall, and something happens, some sort of major event, trauma, whatever, stress, and they get knocked down, and they can't get back up, because they've been going. So, so it's not, that's one of the downsides, so to speak, of trying to keep up with, like you say, modern life, because the stress will get you. She and I always tell people, stress will kill you. I mean, it really will.
It will.
It's the one thing that'll kill you quick.
I mean, it leads, create heart attacks, stroke. There's just so many different things.
There's so many things that stress does. And like I said, we mentioned vitamin D just a minute ago when we were on the phone, and there's even been articles written about vitamin D that is fibromyalgia, vitamin D deficiency. And we are seeing an epidemic of vitamin D deficiencies. And, definitely people don't get outside the way they used to. And when they
because they're afraid of getting out in the sun.
yeah,
Well,
and then they put too much sunscreen on when they do, and then, I mean, you're preventing one thing and making another. So, I mean, and even the glyphosate in the foods, which we've talked about a few weeks ago, they have shown to actually deplete vitamin T production. So we're seeing it, and it's an epidemic in our food supply that we have all these chemicals.
And that's why we stress organic.
Yeah, and we do stress doing lab work with the fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue, and not just your basic lab work. We do definitely extra lab work on that because they've actually found hormonal imbalances can affect it.
Sure.
Adrenal deficiency can actually affect it. Thyroid, and thyroid doesn't just have to be out of range. You can actually be, you know, in range, but if it's a subclinical thyroid problem, you still are going to have symptoms from it. So a lot of the people with fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue, we do find a mild, where they're not optimal. They're not severe, but they're not optimal, and a little bit for the thyroid can actually make a difference. So there's so many things that we do that for the thyroid, but it might be a multi thing. You know, B12 deficiencies, iron deficiencies, vitamin D deficiencies, or so many. That's like I said, it's not just one thing that does it. It's a combination. And then last week we talked about infections and chronic viruses, which has definitely been linked. You know, 86% of the people with chronic fatigue syndrome has been shown to have a chronic virus of some sort. So, you know, there is.
And it keeps it flared up.
It does.
Yeah.
And
well, the
you
immune
have
system
to,
can't keep up with
No,
it.
When the immune system, it's probably, like I said, we all have chronic viruses like we talked about before.
Sure.
It's just when that immune system gets suppressed is when they come out.
Right.
So these people is when they actually get stuff come out is once they get depressed, then they can't get out of it. So it takes a multiple things to actually get them back to where they need to be.
All right. Phone lines are open at 896-0713, 800-349-0713. We're talking about chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia. And a little bit about fibromyalgia. Of course, it affects the muscles and the soft tissues of our body.
Right.
Symptoms include chronic muscle pain, fatigue, sleep problems again, painful tender points or trigger points, which can be relieved through medications, lifestyle changes, stress management. There's those two big things right there: lifestyle changes and stress management.
Yeah, you know, and you just that's the big hammer on the nail right there, because that's it, stress management. And you know, I'm going to put this way. And I usually tell people this way: your life depends on it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not just blowing smoke. Your life depends on it, and it's up to you. I can't change your stress. Okay, so you're going to have to figure out where this stress comes from. We'll help you with that. And then you have to do something about that stress, whatever that takes. But you know, when you get into this fibromyalgia thing and we start talking about the the mitochondrial dysfunction in the cells, the thing that's so big there is trying to restore that actual mitochondrial dysfunction and restore that. And if you do that, you know, gradually those muscle cells get to where they don't hurt as much when because they're trying to work and they just can't. They don't have the energy for it. You know?
And one of the things that
Yeah.
I just wrote down here that I started on because of stress, 5-HTP.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, wonderful stuff.
Oh, it's great stuff.
Now,
It
5-HTP
really is.
cannot be taken with antidepressants, but
Right.
it can be taken.
Right.
And so I do want to say that because a lot of the
place
people
of.
out there with fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue, that's the first thing they do is put them on an antidepressant because depression does go along with it.
Right.
But if you're not on an antidepressant, actually the 5-HTP works wonders. And there's even a lot of research on 5-HTP for chronic pain, not just for depression. It actually has been shown in all kind of studies that it actually decreases chronic pain because if you increase your serotonin, your pain, you don't feel pain as much. With low serotonin, pain is, you know, magnified.
You know, one of the things, you know, we talked about the glyphosate a couple weeks ago, or a few weeks ago, and how it interferes with the gut bacteria. Now, that gut bacteria makes some of these things, it makes some of the amino acids that turn into a 5-HTP or 5-HT, which is serotonin, or tyrosine, and L-phenylalanine. Phenylalanine helps you deal with pain better.
It does. It's
and so you start depleting that, you know, and you've got pain and you can't deal with it. That's a double whammy.
Wow.
So it's extraordinarily important to get back that diet change, like you said, first thing.
Margie's on the phone with us, and Margie, you have chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia that you're having to deal with. Good morning.
First of all, let me say thank you to the doctors. It's been a decade, and we've been working with me for a while. My problem runs into politics. The dentist found a cavity. I've been to him twice in the last 3 weeks, never touching that cavity because they're overbooked. I have fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue. I have an infection in my head. What do I do until the 3 weeks and my appointment happens?
Actually, find another dentist.
It's the only thing you can do.
Give us a call, and we'll give you the name of somebody that you can probably call and get in quicker.
we can get you in somewhere.
Because that's the big
faster.
thing is just, maybe getting in faster if you can't get an appointment for 3 weeks. Because infections in the teeth, to me, are one of the worst infections you can have.
They really are.
They really
Yeah.
are.
Fortunately, I had dealt with that a few weeks ago myself and was able to get into my dentist very quick. But if you'll call the doctors right after the show here, wait till 10 o'clock?
10 o'clock, yeah.
10 o'clock
yeah.
at 897-0070 at their office, 897-0070 after 10 o'clock this morning. They'll be glad to pass that information along to you.
Yep.
We'll get you some help there.
The dental system does what they can, but waiting 3 weeks and sending someone out the door with major infection is just not good policy for medicine.
I
No,
agree.
it's not. We
I
totally
agree.
agree there.
And it's not good for you.
No.
All right. Thank you, Margie. Linwood is back on the phone with us. Good morning, Linwood. What you got for us? Well, Linwood was back on the phone.
We had him. We almost had him.
He
Linwood's been back and forth, I think.
exactly.
He'll call back.
He'll call back again.
But I mean, all the different things. I mean, so many people that have problems with fibromyalgia. What can they do because there's so much of it that runs deep within you that causes so much pain. Stiffness. You wake up in the morning, you feel stiff.
Well, you haven't slept good.
No.
Back to the sleep thing.
Back to the sleep thing.
Linwood's back on the phone.
Back on the phone.
Hello,
Okay.
Linwood. Linwood, are you there?
We've had a hard time with Linwood
Okay.
today. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Try it again. Okay, back to the sleep thing.
Yes.
Go ahead. I think you were going to talk
Well,
about
I was going to say sleep is so important. I mean, it's
Oh,
one,
yeah.
and there's no doubt that it's a major factor with the chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia. And you have to get everything else. The adrenals have to be right. The thyroid has to be right. All your nutrients need to be right in order to get the sleep right again also. And get that deep sleep that you need.
And when we talk about doing lab work, Janine and I see this every day. I've been to my doctor, they did my lab work. Well, what they did was basically what everybody now is terming the healthy you. It's basically like a CBC and a metabolic panel maybe, and your lipids. All right, your lipids aren't going to, I don't care what your lipids look like, they're not going to fix this fibromyalgia stuff. They ain't going to happen. So when you get into deep looking at these things like the adrenals, you have to do specific tests. They ain't going to do it, insurance won't pay for it. Ain't going to happen.
Unless you have an adrenal disease, which actually with most fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue, it's not to a point to where it's a disease. It's not. It's just a problem, and it's not optimal. And you have to get back to optimal health in order to overcome this.
Same way with looking at your thyroid. If they just do a TSH, which is typical, all right, it's not going to tell you what the thyroid's doing.
Most of the people with chronic fatigue syndrome actually have a problem converting T4 into the active form of T3.
Yeah.
And so your T4 can be normal, your TSH can be normal, but the free T3 is more what you want to look at, and you want it to be optimal, just not in range.
All right, we'll be back with our final segment in just a moment. It's our Monday morning live edition.
Right.
It will be rebroadcast on Friday. Healthy Living South Mississippi. Live healthy, be healthy. And we're back, and Linwood is on the phone with us. Linwood, good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, there we go. We got you. How are you?
I'm pretty good, thank you. Hey, I have a question about cleanses.
Okay.
What do you think of the fresh lemon juice and the raw vinegar cleanse early in the morning, first thing you drink?
I think it's a good
think it's
idea. It gets
fine,
the
yeah.
system going,
You do want the apple cider vinegar that actually has the mother in it. So make sure you get the right type of apple cider vinegar.
Organic, preferably.
Yeah, organic preferably. But that's definitely good. And lemon juice is actually a good, believe it or not, a good alkalizer. People think of it being very acidic because it tastes acidic, but it's a very good alkalizer
Both
as well.
those are. Yeah. So it's really good.
Okay. That pretty much answers my question.
Okay.
I've been on it.
Well,
I've
we're
been on it
glad we
since
finally...
November,
Make it a habit every day.
Yeah, we'll do that and then drink lots of water all day because
Right.
water is also a very good way of flushing the body out.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Thanks
thank
for the
you.
call,
Thank you.
Linwood. 896-0713, 800-349-0713. We're talking about chronic fatigue syndrome
Yes.
and fibromyalgia. Sherry is on the phone right now. Good morning, Sherry.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What can we do for you, Sherry?
Oh, goodness. I suffer from, I represented abused children for almost 20 years as an attorney. And then I got sick with fibromyalgia, and they said they thought it was due to emotional stress.
Probably.
Extreme emotional stress. And I've also suffered from severe depression, severe anxiety, arthritis, degenerative disc disease up and down my back, and sciatica, and That's about it that I can think of right now.
I think that's enough.
That's enough, exactly.
Really?
Yeah.
A lot of times, once one thing happens, just a
It's a
series,
cascade
a
of
cascade
events.
of
Snowball effect,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly,
Snowball
and
effect,
you end
right.
up getting one thing after another.
Right.
I myself
Yeah.
actually had lots of problems like that when I was young, so I have a very up on the fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue. So because at 17 years old, I couldn't even get up. So I've been there myself, and so I do know things that happen. And you can get better. That's
Yeah, you
why
can.
That's why I like to tell people. I know from personal experience you can get better.
Well, I every day I try to accomplish at least one thing.
Well, good.
I'm on disability, and so I don't have much money. Sometimes it hurts so bad I can't stand it. I'm on Motrin and
For one,
gabapentin.
for one, get copies of what lab work they have done on you and bring it into us. And if nothing else, changing your diet would make a world of difference, I promise. Getting off of all grains and all sugar.
Right.
You will see a big difference.
Huge difference.
And I have to do that myself, and I eat like that now. It does make a difference, and that doesn't cost anything to eliminate. So I do tell people that doesn't cost anything to do. So that's the first step
Just
to make.
making the different choices. And we'll help you with that.
Thing.
Okay.
What when you said grains, what are you talking about?
Corn,
soy, wheat,
all your grains.
any of the grains.
Anything that's a grain, stop it. Oatmeal,
bread, rice, cereal,
rice,
pastas.
pasta, all the grains. And that's what most people eat. So you eliminate all those and you'll see a difference actually in just doing that. And it makes a big difference in the pain. But if you come by, we'll give you a free sheet that tells you how to eat.
And help you with it.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Thank you very much
Okay.
for the call. We got just a couple of minutes left. So
Okay.
what's the special this
Well,
week?
the special is something to help that mitochondrial dysfunction. It's called ribofuel, and what this does, it's got ribose, and in it, and ribose is a sugar that mitochondria has to have to function properly, and it's got a whole bunch of other stuff in it too to help it function right. So that's the best thing. I mean, this stuff is great for any kind of muscle problems.
It does contain some enzymes and
Enzymes, things
CoQ10
like that,
and,
right.
like I said, and DMG and
Dimethylglycine,
so it actually
right,
has
it's
a lot
got-
of stuff in
yeah.
it to actually help with the immune system and the mitochondrial function.
Okay, and the special goes all the way
All the
through
way?
this week.
Yep.
Be sure
Through
you stop
Saturday.
by.
Right.
And we always want to tell you again that whenever you go by the doctor's nutrition, you don't need an appointment. And it doesn't cost you anything to go in there and ask questions, get a consultation.
Yep.
That's right.
And that's the great thing about it. They're located on Cowan Road in Gulfport, south of Pass Road. It's basically across the street from the old K-Bar Garden Center.
Right.
There on Cowan
Easy to
Road. so you
find,
can't
right
miss it.
past
Easy to
the
find.
new Walgreens. Actually,
Yeah.
if now we have a new landmark.
Yeah, there you go, right back
Walgreens,
behind the
right.
new Walgreens down in there. So you can stop by there. They're open 10 to 5. Monday through Friday, and the doctors are there Monday through Thursday.
Right.
And again, you can stop by and ask them questions. And on Saturdays, you're open
11 to 2.
11 to
11
2.
to 2. And but Fridays and Saturdays, the doctors are
Right,
not in.
we're not in.
But they have a great staff of people there
Oh, yeah.
that be glad to help you out with any questions that you might have regarding today's topic or any topic. And of course, tomorrow night. You have your Tuesday night
Right, Tuesday
radio
night show where
We're
we'll
gonna
have-
give a little
And
plug
more
in
in-
that.
more
We'll have-
in depth
Right,
on
we'll
this,
have a whole
mhm.
hour about the fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome, and it's on Voice America that you can get
And you
online
can get to that through our website.
or our website, doctorsnutrition.com.
There you go. Next week's subject. What are we talking about?
Well,
Next,
go ahead.
next week we're going to be talking about when is alternative medicine right for you?
Oh,
Just alternative medicine in general and how it differs from allopathic medicine.
okay.
Yep.
So I got to write this down because I'll have to be doing my homework between now and then. When is alternative medicine good for you?
Yeah.
Right.
But again, a lot of it, so we've told you about, has to do with changing your lifestyle, changing your
Right.
diet. So that's a
Right.
big thing. That's a big start right there. Have a great week, and this will be rebroadcast on Friday, WLOX CBS at 9.
There was some.